Hello everyone, my name is Rachel and welcome back to another true crime video, or if you're new here, welcome. In today's case, we will be discussing a grandmother who made an unthinkable decision to end the life of her disabled grandson. But this isn't a simple story of right and wrong. It's a complex web of love, fear, desperation, and the immense weight of responsibility. We'll explore the circumstances surrounding Joel Park's life, his grandmother's mindsets, and the choices she made in what she believed was in his best interest. But looking back at the details after the dust has settled, we are left with one huge question. Is she a cold-blooded killer, or did she truly have no other options? But before we get into today's case, if you're anything like me and you like a good mystery, you are going to want to hear from today's sponsor, Hunt-A-Killer. Hunt-A-Killer is the premium immersive murder mystery brand. Their game feels like solving real cases with authentic evidence, case files, and twists that take you down unexpected and surprising paths. I just loved playing this game with my partner, maybe with a little glass of wine in hand. I have been playing Lakeside Slaughter, and let me tell you, I felt like a real detective. There were police reports, a locked time capsule, and all sorts of evidence to go through. It felt like I was actually solving a true crime case. This game allows you to put your thinking cap on, test your critical thinking skills, and view a murder mystery in a whole new light. Then, when things start coming together and you figure out what really happened, it's just so dang satisfying. Plus, as I got to know each person involved, what they were up to, what parts they played, I sort of felt a bit of a connection with them and an understanding for why they may have done what they did. It all just feels so real. So if you love true crime or you just want something different for game night, make sure you follow the link down below and use code CRIME20 to get 20% off Lakeside Slaughter plus free shipping. Or check out Lakeside Slaughter at Target or Hunt-A-Killer products at Amazon, Target, Walmart, or huntakiller.com. Thank you so much to Hunt-A-Killer for partnering with me on today's video. And with all of that being said, let's get into the details of today's case. Joel David Parks was born on February 17, 1989 in Bradenton, Florida to parents Toshia and Joel, and he had a sister named Yvonne. By the time Joel was just 4 years old, though, he was placed into the care of his grandmother, then 61-year-old Lillian Parks. According to Joel's mother, when she had her children, she just wasn't in a place to take care of them. She was going through a divorce with her then-husband, Joel. She was going down a rough path in life, and she felt like the best thing for her children was for them to be under Lillian's care. And as she watched Joel grow up, she felt good about her decision. Lillian put all of her time and energy into taking care of those kids, and she did her best to give them a good life. Something else to know about Joel is that he did have a cognitive disability. Now, the exact details of his disability vary depending on the source. Most say he had autism, while others said that he sustained a brain injury in a car accident when he was an infant, so that's what caused his disability. But as far as I've seen, most sources do report that he had autism. Either way, we do know that Joel was physically healthy. He was able to move his body just as well as anyone else, but he was delayed mentally. He was unable to fully care for himself, requiring a caregiver all throughout his life. I want to note that when she was younger, Lillian worked as a nurse for several years, so she was perfectly equipped to care for someone with special needs. Despite his challenges in life, his sister Yvonne said that Joel had such a positive spirit and a bright personality. Growing up, he played baseball, where his teammates called him Home Run Joel because of his love and passion for the sport. He always had a huge smile plastered to his face, and he made friends very easily. He was known as being one of the happiest guys you could ever meet, and he always gave the best and tightest hugs. His family lovingly referred to him by his nickname, Bubby. By the time Joel grew into adulthood, he received state funding to move into a group home. Group homes for adults with disabilities are designed to offer supportive living environments for those who need some assistance with day-to-day tasks. They're supposed to be a safe and structured environment where they can live as independently as they can while receiving assistance with personal care, medication management, meal preparation, social activities, and other daily activities. Group homes are meant for those who can do some basic things on their own, but can't be completely independent. They can be a good option for someone who is unable to live fully on their own, but doesn't have support from their parents or other caregivers for one reason or another. In Joel's case, he was able to do some things independently. He held a part-time job at a convenience store and could do some basic everyday tasks. But of course, he still needed help, and his grandmother Lillian was just getting to the age where she couldn't provide full-time care. She was in her 70s when Joel reached adulthood, so she had her own health limitations preventing her from providing round-the-clock care to Joel. Instead, Joel would stay with Lillian on the weekends, where she continued to help care for him part-time. That way, he could live as independently as he could while also continuing to receive support from his grandmother, who he loved dearly. Meanwhile, his mother, stepfather, and sister lived in Ohio. His father, Joel, had died at some point, though it's not completely clear when that happened. By the weekend of September 22nd, 2019, Joel's sister, Yvonne, came from Ohio for a visit at her grandmother's apartment. Apparently, Lillian had called her and asked her to come to Bradenton to help clean out her apartment and maybe pick up Joel to take him back to Ohio to stay with his parents. She had an upcoming hernia surgery, so she would be staying in a nursing home to recover, leaving her unable to care for Joel for the time being. By September 21st, Yvonne arrived to the apartment to start cleaning. Apparently, Lillian wanted for most of her belongings to be removed from the apartment, including her couch and most of her personal belongings. All she wanted left was her bedroom furniture. Even her car, she told Yvonne to take with her. After starting all the tasks her grandmother asked of her, she spent some time with Lillian and Joel before leaving in the evening to spend some time with her boyfriend and some friends. Because Yvonne was originally from the area, I'm sure she had a ton of friends that she was missing after moving to Ohio, so she wanted to make sure she carved out some time to visit them while she was there. As she headed out the door that evening, Joel was in the living room, and he asked her if he'll see her later. She said of course. They then exchanged their I love yous before she left for the evening. Late that Saturday night, Yvonne returned to the apartment where she saw 30-year-old Joel covered by a blanket sleeping in a recliner chair in front of the TV in Lillian's room. Lillian was sleeping right near him in her bed. Yvonne thought nothing of it and went to bed. By around 8 a.m. the following morning on Sunday, September 22nd, she then woke up to find that Joel was still lying on the recliner chair. She actually said that when she was checking on Joel, she bumped into the chair as she walked by and was relieved that she didn't accidentally wake him up. Once again, she figured that he was still just sleeping because it was Sunday morning and it wasn't all that odd for him to still be asleep that early in the morning. She went about her day for the hours that followed, but as the hours passed, she did start to worry. She asked Lillian about Joel and why he wasn't getting up, and she assured him that he was just up late watching movies and was sleeping in. But finally, by around noon, she checked on Joel again, only to find that he was still lying in the recliner chair. He actually hadn't moved a muscle since when she saw him that morning, which at this point really did start to concern her. As she got closer to her brother, she then realized that it looked like he wasn't breathing. She called out to Lillian and said, "Grams, it doesn't look like he's breathing." And according to Yvonne, Lillian responded by saying, "That's because he's not." Of course, this response was astonishing. What could she possibly mean by that? Yvonne followed up by asking her what it is she is talking about, and her grandmother said, "Oh, I'm doing us both. We're going together." At that time, Yvonne believes that she noticed a white pill in Lillian's mouth as she spoke. This, of course, left Yvonne absolutely shocked and appalled. She didn't know what to think. So she immediately left the apartment and called police, who arrived shortly after. When they entered the bedroom, they found Joel still in that chair while Lillian laid in the bed nearby. When they examined Joel, they realized pretty quickly that he was in fact deceased and had been for quite some time. There was nothing they could do to bring him back.
He goes, "Bye, I love you. I'll see you later." I said, "I love you too, Bubby. I'll see you later." And that was the last time I seen him.
The next day, Joel's sister was back at her grandmother's home at the Carlton Arms Apartments in Bradenton, where Joel lived part of the time. Yvonne says that's when she noticed Joel slumped over and not looking right.
And I was like, "Grams, it doesn't look like he's breathing." She said, "Because he's not." With kind of like a little snicker in it. "What do you mean he's not? What do you mean he's not breathing? Like, what are you talking about?" "Oh, I'm doing us both in. We're going together."
At the scene, officers first spoke with Yvonne, who basically explained what I just told you. She was visiting for the week because her grandmother asked her to come over and help her clean out the house. She discussed how Joel seemed just fine the prior afternoon, but looking back, she now realizes that Joel had been sleeping since the night before. So sometime after she left that afternoon, Joel must have been given some sort of medication which caused him to go unconscious. As that was happening, another officer met with Lillian to see what she had to say. She stayed laying in bed the whole time they spoke, and pretty much immediately, 87-year-old Lillian told the officer that at around noon the prior day, she gave her grandson, 30-year-old Joel, an unknown amount of painkiller medication before taking a few pills herself. She said that she was ill and only had about 5 months left to live. She didn't want her grandson to suffer alone after her death. She wanted him in heaven with her, and now he was just waiting on her arrival. She continued saying that she wrote a letter to everyone in the family and left $1,500 to Yvonne to use to cremate herself and Joel. After speaking with the first officer, another officer entered the room and began asking more questions. He asked, "What's going on today?" And Lillian said that she doesn't feel like talking about it because she already told another officer and she doesn't have anything else to add. The second officer then asked, "Does that mean you don't want to tell me what happened to your grandson?" And she responded by saying that Joel has needed help his entire life and was living in a home his entire adult life. But he doesn't like living in the group home. That is why he stayed with her on the weekends, so he could at least get a little break from the group home. She explained that he often will wander away outside and she has to go out and look for him. He relies on medication, which she provides every day. She explained that she only has 5 months left to live and that her doctor suggested she get a hernia surgery. But if she got the surgery, she would have to recover in a nursing home, and she didn't have much left to live anyways. So she didn't want the surgery. She didn't want to stay in a nursing home. She said that she wanted him to be with her when she goes to sleep, so she put him to sleep. She will soon go to sleep as well. After she explained all of this, the questioning from both officers stopped because they had a pretty good idea of what happened here. Lillian was 87 years old. Her health was rapidly declining, and she knew that she didn't have much time left. She felt that if she died, Joel would be left alone and didn't want that to happen. So she decided to kill him, then try to kill herself to make sure they would be together for the rest of time. After hearing all of this, Lillian was admitted to the hospital via the Baker Act, aka the Florida Mental Health Act. This law allows for the involuntary examination and hospitalization of individuals experiencing a mental health crisis. It's basically an emergency measure taken for any individual who is deemed as being a potential threat to themselves or others. And given that Lillian admitted to taking medication with the intent to take her own life, she fell under this act. As she was being treated at the hospital, other officers obtained and executed a search warrant at the home. During the search, they found a bottle of prescription medication with Lillian's name on it. The label showed that it was filled for 120 pills on September 17th, just a few days before Joel was found dead. Only 2 pills were found left in that bottle, meaning that it was entirely possible that she gave Joel over 100 of those pills, ensuring that he would overdose. Officers also found multiple letters addressed to different family members where Lillian wrote various instructions, apologies, and explanations for why she did what she did. She wrote about what may have happened to Joel after her passing. As far as I could find, these letters have never been made public. After all this happened, police held a press conference where they explained the situation at hand. Summarizing everything I've told you up to this point, they explained how Joel lived in a group home on the weekdays and with his grandmother on the weekends because he was a disabled adult. At the time, Lillian was facing health concerns and was aware that she didn't have much time left to live. He went on to say that he was estranged from his mother and his father is deceased, so she was concerned about who would care for him after her death.
Upon arrival, officers found 30-year-old Joel Parks deceased in the residence. Joel's grandmother, 87-year-old Lillian Parks, who is his part-time caretaker, made several concerning remarks, spontaneous remarks to the officers that she had purposely overdosed him with the intent of taking his life. She was concerned about her medical condition and was worried about who would be caring for him in the event that she passed away. Jillian currently is in protective medical custody until she's released by a doctor. And I would like to note that Joel is a disabled adult, unable to care for himself. Joel resided in a group home throughout the week and then would stay with Jillian on the weekends. Joel's parents, his father is deceased, his mother is estranged, and he was discovered by a sister.
However, after news came out about Joel's tragic death, his family spoke out about the whole thing. Joel's mother, Tosha, and his stepfather, Jim, said that they weren't estranged from Joel. That was a big fat lie told by Lillian. They had never been estranged. In fact, they were ready for Yvonne to go over there, pick him up, and bring him back to Ohio. If Yvonne didn't go there, she said that she would have picked him up herself. Either way, they would have taken care of him. It also came out that Lillian had no guardianship plans for after her death, even though she was getting much older. Even if she didn't have any health concerns, given her advancing age, she should have come up with some sort of plan, but she never did. She could have gotten the paperwork to make sure he would be cared for. She could have named Yvonne, Toshia, or anyone else as his guardian in the event of her passing, but she didn't. Yvonne went on to say that when her grandmother asked her to come home and start cleaning out her home, she probably already knew that she wouldn't be around much longer. Her being there was all a part of a larger plan. She felt that Lillian was weighing 2 options: get the surgery, stay at the nursing home afterwards, and trust that Yvonne would get Joel to Ohio to be cared for by his mother, or she would take her life. And at some point during that decision process, she chose to take Joel with her. Yvonne said that she doesn't understand why or how she could have done this. She said, quote, "To sit there and say that there was no option, that was the only way, that's crap. There were plenty of people." After Lillian was cleared for release at the hospital, she was taken into police custody where she was charged with second-degree murder. After the arrest, the officer investigating her case said, quote, "She's worried when she's gone that there will be nobody there to care for him. This is a difficult case for our detectives. Partly, we feel bad for an individual who feels that the only option is to take another human being's life because you're so worried about their care after you're gone. But on the other hand, this was a process that was thought out. It was planned, and she took a human life." But again, Lillian did have other options, none of which she even considered. She never partook in the proper estate planning. She never bothered to even try and name someone as a caretaker for Joel. Instead, she just took his life. Homicide is obviously never the right option, and it is incredibly unfair to decide that you have the authority to take someone else's life from them. I'm sure Joel would have wanted to continue living his life, but he was robbed of that choice. At the same time, I can see a world where Lillian justified her actions as being the best option for him. I understand that she didn't do any estate planning, but maybe she genuinely felt that no one else was equipped to care for him. Maybe she felt that his parents wouldn't have provided adequate care, even if she did name someone as his caretaker. If she truly believed that she was the only one who was capable of caring for Joel, I can see how she could justify it to herself. In no world am I condoning her actions or saying that she was right or justified in any way. Again, she had absolutely no right to take his life. But I do want to understand her point of view, and I do think that she may have felt in her heart that this is what was best for him. In the months after her arrest, Lillian awaited her trial in jail. During that time, her charges were actually reduced to manslaughter instead of murder. Of course, this decision was questioned by family who thought that it was obvious that she should have not only been charged with murder, but first-degree murder. This was something she planned for over 2 weeks. But in the end, the charges wouldn't matter, and this case would never make it to trial. By January 1st, 2020, just over 3 months after Joel's death, Lillian Parks passed away. After her death, no further news about the case came out. It seemed that investigators closed the case and moved on. We haven't heard back about the official autopsy for Joel. We haven't been able to read any of the letters Lillian wrote. Even her family seems to have stayed silent. As far as I could see, no one even wrote her an obituary after her death, which is very sad given that she did have an entire life that she lived, but it's very much understandable given the hurt that she's caused her family by taking the life of their beloved brother and son. As of right now, that is where the details of this case ends. When I heard of this case, I wanted to cover it because I see it as a very morally gray case. On one hand, we have an elderly woman who truly believed that she was doing what was best for her grandson. On the other hand, we have a case of someone giving themselves limitless power over someone who can't fully help themselves. And that's where it gets way more complicated for me. As someone who works with individuals who have disabilities and as someone who covers these true crime cases, all too often we hear about people with disabilities being treated like less than human. If Joel didn't have a disability, would everyone still feel bad for Lillian, or would everyone see her for what she truly was? Someone who took a life. Just because Joel had a disability, that doesn't make him any less human, and that didn't give Lillian or anyone else the right to dictate whether he deserved to live or die. And we see this all the time. Parents have a child with a disability. They kill their child. When they're arrested, they are seen through a lens of empathy and compassion. They had a hard life. They had a lot of responsibility. They had a child with a disability, and that ended up being too much for them. So they killed them, those poor parents. It's really heartbreaking to see this excuse being thrown around so often because, yes, having a child with a disability is incredibly difficult. It's overwhelming. But that is why help is available. That is why people like me and respite workers and home nurses, that is why we exist, to help you. Having a child in general is overwhelming and at times exhausting beyond belief. But when a parent kills their healthy child, we look at it much differently than a parent who kills a child with a disability. And that is very, very wrong. So at the end of the day, while I do understand Lillian's reasoning, I don't accept it. At the end of the day, she could have gotten something figured out long before she had her health problems. She could have started planning for his care the minute he turned 18 because she always knew that he would outlive her. Grandparents know from the moment their grandchild is born that the child will outlive them, most likely. So the fact that she didn't even try to see if his mother could or would care for him, or try to see if his sister or anyone else could care for him, That is so, so wrong. She had many, many options and she still chose murder. And for that, if she was still alive, I believe that she should have and would have gone to prison. But with all of that being said, I really want to hear what you all think about this case. Do you agree with what I had to say, or do you think differently? Whatever your thoughts are, I want to hear them. Do you understand Lillian's reasoning, and do you think she's justified, or do you agree that she could have done a lot more? Let's discuss this and any other thoughts you have in the comments below. If you liked this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to turn the notification bell on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Spotify. All will be linked down below. And if you have any case suggestions, please make sure to fill out the Google form, which is also listed down below. With that, hope you guys have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.